this liver, this stomach. Third is pancreas, open in intestine. The fourth is liver, and here this liver, this also release secretion in intestine, and this fifth is intestine itself. Yes, fine. This is the previous slide. Hold. Fine, hold. So, see here. This is the process of digestion. How this takes place. It's a digestive gland and the juices, enzymes, substance acted upon, and it's the end product. Fine. Food in mouth. Salivary gland, saliva. Here is salivary gland, or the same is called as the xylem. It acted upon starch, and this will turn into maltose. So here means starch is here. Conclusion. I am just concluding here. The starch is first food, followed by digestion. Fine. The first food which is followed by digestion is the starch. Yes, where exactly? In mouth. Mouth. Then this food, it comes to gastric gland, means stomach. And in the stomach, the seed, this is going to have, this is the first step, what we have done so far. Here we are talking about the step number second. The first is the pepsin for the protein, second is rennin for the caseinogen of the milk, and the result is what? It's a peptone and peptides. Protein digestion means ultimately protein digestion. Yes, and apart from the protein digestion, this third is HCl. This HCl is required to decontaminate food. It is required to decontaminate food. How we have to remember this chart of digestion? ठीक है, कुछ नहीं करना है, just go to the Anulom and Vilom of the Baba Ramdev, ठीक है, and then you just go through this chart, you'll be all right. मतलब you'll be able to recall this chart. है ना? Yeah, even you just go through the Kapal Bharati and then है ना, go through the chart after the Kapal Bharati. ठीक है, right? Do yoga and see this chart. Ritik, I hope you understand. I'm just joking here. Then this food from the stomach, this food, it comes to here. I'm just mentioning intestine. INTESTINE. And in intestine, the first is the food is getting from the liver, bile juice, and this bile juice is stored in gall bladder. It releases bile, and it is required for the fat emulsification. The second is the pancreatic juices that consist of trypsin for the protein digestion. Result is the peptide, chymotrypsin for the protein digestion, amylase for the starch, and lipase for the fat. Okay? And then the intestine itself consists of intestinal gland, succus entericus, which releases trypsin for the protein digestion, lipase for the fat digestion, sucrase for the sucrose, maltase for the maltose, and lactase for the lactose. And see, the end product is what? Glucose, glucose, glucose. This is the end product. Okay? Done it? Done it or not? So I am going to show you animation of this entire discussion. And that will make you comfortable. See this animation. See this animation. See, can you Are you getting this visual? It's an animated visual. Are you getting this animated visual? Are you supported by your network to receive this animated visuals? Are you supported by your network speed to receive this animated visuals? If yes, please let me know. Okay, right. So I am just playing this animation. So it's a food. See here. Then this food is followed by, see, just look at the food. This food is crossing food pipe. And you just look at the size of this food. Once this food is entering, it's coming in the stomach, this food starts splitting. Means we can see the significant changes in the food. And as the food is proceeding, see here, this food is acted upon by a number of enzymes from different sources. Like see here, this liver. Look here, someone asked about, he or she was not able to understand the liver and the bile. See, this liver secretes bile, and this bile is stored in the gallbladder. This is what the gallbladder. So this gallbladder consists of the secretion of the liver that itself is discharging where in duodenum, means large intestine. This is what? It's a pancreas. This pancreas is releasing its enzyme in the small intestine, and even intestine itself is releasing its enzyme in intestine itself. So the food is properly digesting in a small intestine. Here, you just look at the size of the food. This is villi. It's a villi. This food is followed by, and now this after digestion, this food mixed with the blood and along with the blood circulation, this food keeps moving for the body part, and undigested food material will come outside like this. Fine? Right? Yes? And here, so the first point is what? Here, this is starch. That is the first food is followed by digestion. The second point here, in the stomach, only protein digestion. Partial protein digestion. Fine. Again, third, in the stomach, HCl is there, and hyper concentration leads to acidity. Hyper concentration leads to acidity. And just to avoid this acidity, we need enter hyperconcentration of this HCl, means acid. This causes acidity, and just to counter this acidity we need antacids. Yes, and the fourth point is, mainly digestion and absorption is in small intestine. Small intestine. Yes? Can we go ahead? And in gallbladder, there is a portion of gallstone, and the gallstone is what? It's a calcium carbonate. And again, in kidney, there is a portion of kidney stone. And kidney stone is what? It's a calcium oxalate. Fine. So the nature of kidney stone is calcium oxalate, while the nature of gallstone is calcium carbonate. Fine. Okay. Right. Okay. So here, so as a result of digestion, the complex food will turn into simple food. Means this starch will turn into glucose. This protein will turn into amino acid, and this fat will turn into fatty acid. This is the simple process of digestion. Right? Diksha. The process of digestion and absorption is what? Listen, this is the process of digestion. What we have mentioned here is the process of digestion. Then what happened? These digested food will be absorbed by the wall of ileum and mixed with blood. This is absorption. Yes? And why it is required? Because to circulate simple food to every body part. To circulate simple food into every body part, this absorption is necessary. This absorption is necessary. Right? So Diksha, I hope you understand. I hope you understand. Diksha, I hope you understand. Namrata, emulsification means what? Listen, the fat is in the form of the ball, right? The fat is in the form of the ball. The big ball will turn into the small globular balls. The big ball will turn into the small globular ball. Fine. Means the big fat molecule will turn into the small fat molecule. Fine. And then the small fat molecule, the surface of these fat molecules will be wrapped by bile salts. Right, and the intention of the wrapping of the bile or the surface of the fat is what? Is why means what the surface of the fat is just to create a roughness over the surface of the fat, because the fat itself is a smooth in surface. So the bile will make the surface of fat, the rough, and the roughness of the fat surface is required for the proper attachment of enzyme on the fat surface for the better action, right? Otherwise, what happens if the surface is smooth? So this enzyme will slip from the surface of the fat, and if the enzyme is going to slip, in that case, what happened? Now the enzyme will remain undigested. Fine. So that coarser surface of fat is compulsion, and that is emulsification. That is emulsification. There is the logic behind emulsification is the precondition. It's a precondition before fat digestion. Unless the fat is emulsified, this fat will not be followed by the digestion. Means before the digestion of the fat, emulsification is the precondition. Otherwise, the fat will not be followed by digestion. Fine, okay. Can we go ahead? Okay, last slide. I think this is the last slide. No? Yes. So, fine. So then what happened? Now, these digested food will further followed by oxidation. And the intention of this oxidation is what? Energy. Right? With the help of oxygen. So this food oxidation and the energy generation. This is the process of respiration. This is the process of respiration. So in this continuation, I am coming to this respiration. See here, in this continuation, I am coming to the respiration, and when I talk about this respiration, it provides oxygen for aerobic metabolism. It excretes carbon dioxide and the volatile substances like ammonia and the water vapor. It is required to maintain the temperature by losing large amount of the heat in expired water, and it maintains the acid-base balance in body. So when we talk about the respiration, this respiration has two main steps. One is breathing. That is intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide. And this is 14 to 18 times per minute. Yes, and then this breathing is followed by food oxidation and energy generation. Food oxidation and energy generation. This is followed by food oxidation and energy generation. So these two are the two main steps of the respiration. Two main steps of respiration. Right? So in human, this process of the breathing is supported by lungs. And here this respiration is what? It's a pulmonary respiration. It's a pulmonary respiration. Lung respiration is pulmonary respiration. Yes, fine. So, this food oxidation and energy generation, these, this step is of two types. One is aerobic and the second is anaerobic. Aerobic means with the help of oxygen, without the help of oxygen. Yes, with the help of oxygen and without the help of oxygen. This is aerobic as well as anaerobic. Yes. So listen, depending upon the availability of oxygen for the oxidation of the food, respiration is of two main types. One is the aerobic and the second is anaerobic. Aerobic respiration means what? Here, see. C6 S12 O6 plus 6O2 followed by breakdown, and the result is the 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus 686 kilocalorie of energy. So in this system, this much of energy is released, which is stored in the form of ATP, 38 ATP. ATP is energy coil. It's an energy coil. So when we talk this intake of oxygen, that is inspiration, is required for the oxidation of glucose. As a result, carbon dioxide will release. This is expiration, and here energy will release in the form of ATP. So oxygen, and this process takes place exactly where? In mitochondria. Is the logic behind mitochondria is power house. Mitochondria is called as powerhouse of the cell. Why? Because energy generation, the process of energy generation takes place in mitochondria. The process of energy generation takes place in mitochondria. Fine, okay. But sometimes what happens, we are not, means body is not able to cope up with the required oxygen. Means suppose in the case of physical exercise, in the case of physical activities, the demand is more, but the body is not able to cope up with that demand of oxygen. Yes. So in that case, what happened? In that case, this food will not able to get oxygen. So the result is what here? This process will take place in the absence of oxygen, and this is called as anaerobic respiration. Fine, the oxygen is there. We need more oxygen, but my body is not able to cope up with that much of oxygen. Means I can breathe maximum 18 times, not 28 times. But see, possibly there could be the requirement of more than 25, 26 times of oxygen. Just because I am involved in the physical activities and my body is demanding more energy. So for the more energy, body must be followed by the food oxidation, more food oxidation. And for more food oxidation, more oxygen is required. So oxygen is available, but my body is not able to cope up with that demand of oxygen. In that case, sometimes body is suffering from the oxygen deficient condition. So in that case, this carbohydrate starts oxidizing in the absence of oxygen, and here the result is lactic acid. And this lactic acid is the cause of muscles pain. So you feel like muscles pain, or you feel like the cramping condition. Yes, you feel like muscle pain, you feel like cramping condition just because there must be deficiency of oxygen. There must be the deficiency of oxygen. So initially when we start bodybuilding, when we start gymming, when we start physical exercise, initially. So for the first couple of days we feel like muscular pain. We feel like muscular pain because we are switching from the normal condition to the abnormal condition. Normal condition means what? I was living sedentary lifestyle. But see, from the sedentary lifestyle, I am switching to the active lifestyle. So in that case, the body demand means energy demand in the sedentary lifestyle was different, and I am going to be work upon. So here the oxygen means here the energy demand would be different. So for the more energy demand, my body is supposed to inhale more oxygen. Fine, but at the same time, it is not possible to increase the oxygen inhalation intake ability so many times just because it will take time. So at least for the couple of days we feel like muscular pain, and at least for the couple of days we are advisable to maintain the slow pace of physical activities. And once the body is acclimatized, we should go for physical activities rigorously. That is the logic. This is the logic behind, at least for the first few days, we are supposed to maintain like this, what we are talking about. Yes, fine, okay. So that is what anaerobic respiration. This is because of the lactic acid deposition. Fine. See, it is mentioned here. In this process of respiration, where the absence of oxygen is there, during this process, respiration may or may not produce carbon dioxide, but does not utilize molecular oxygen. Anaerobic respiration also takes place in our muscles during vigorous muscular activities, when oxygen gets used up faster than what is available to the muscle cells. Yes, means oxygen requirement is more than consumption. Okay, fine. So here, this respiration means this process of respiration means is what here the first step means we are talking about the breathing. Fine. So this breathing takes place with the help of specific respiratory organs, like in aquatic animals like the fish, prawn, they have a gill as a respiratory organ. Animal like lizard, bird, human has lungs for the respiration, and this is called as pulmonary respiration. The frog breathes both through the skin and the lungs. So the lung means pulmonary, and the skin respiration is cutaneous respiration. The insect like grasshopper, housefly, and the cockroach have air tubes or trachea for respiratory organ, for respiration. Yes. Okay. And here, this is the human respiratory organ that consists of, right from here, it's a larynx, it's a vocal sac, trachea, windpipe. Yes. Then again, this bifurcation is bronchus. Again, branching like this, like this. It's a bronchiole. And finally, it's the air vesicles like alveoli. So air vesicles. And these all are lying at the surface of lungs. Lungs, at the surface of lungs. So oxygen flows like this. Oxygen flows like this. This is the way oxygen flows. This is the way oxygen flows. Means trachea to bronchus to bronchiole to alveoli. Yes, and here the surface of alveoli. Here, the surface of alveoli. Here, this has blood capillaries. So this alveoli is continued with the blood capillaries. So this is the way oxygen is moving inside. And this oxygen will move inside, is required for the food oxidation. And as a result of this food oxidation, carbon dioxide will move just opposite. Just opposite. Just opposite. Just opposite. Yes, yes, yes. So let me show you the animated approach of this entire aspiration. See, can you see this animation? Are you supported by your network? Can you see this animation? Are you supported by your network to see this animation? Waiting for your response, at least. Fine. So I'm just playing. I'm just playing this animation. Just look into this. Intake of oxygen and the release of carbon dioxide. See, so bronchus, bronchiole. This bronchiole, here's the alveoli, and this alveoli is supported by the blood capillaries. Blood capillaries. Fine. See, this is your alveoli. See here. This is your alveoli. If you just look at the cursor, it shows alveoli. And the surface of alveoli is surrounded by the blood capillaries. And this alveoli is the final place which ensures intake of oxygen and the release of carbon dioxide. Intake of oxygen means the gaseous exchange, the process of the gaseous exchange means the process of the intake of oxygen and the release of carbon dioxide. This ultimate process takes place where exactly? At the surface of alveoli. At the surface of alveoli. See here. See here. Outflow of carbon dioxide and inflow of oxygen. Right? Fine. And nowadays, you heard about in corona, we are just talking about the oxygen level, oxygen saturation level. That oxygen saturation level must be more than 90-95. It means what happened if you have oxygen saturation level more than 90-95. It means your lungs are working perfectly. So that make a sense of, see here, it's 100% of the surface area of the alveoli. 100% of the surface area of the alveoli. Fine. And if the surface area is clearly workable, means it is not being infected. It is not being infected and it is completely away from the contamination. It means the entire surface area is ready. The entire surface area is available to maintain the exchange of the gases, right? So you are going to inhale oxygen with the maximum capacity because the 100% of the surface area of alveoli is available, right? 100% of the surface area of the alveoli is available. Fine. It means the 100% of the surface area of the alveoli is available. It means you are going to inhale oxygen with the 100% of the efficiency. Means your blood is going to carry forward oxygen with the maximum capacity, and that capacity means that saturation point must be more than 90 to 95. That's why we are talking about this, right? And if the oxygen concentration is lagging behind, means it's 85, 80, 60, 450, it means the major part of your surface area, this alveoli surface area, is infected by pathogen. Infected by pathogen. It means if the major surface is infected by pathogen, it means as a whole, if you see here, just look here. If the major surface is infected by, means the most of the area of lungs are infected by the pathogen, right? And that we are nowadays we are just trying to find out the lung HRCT. HRCT is the way to find out the efficiency of the lungs. So that technicality, we are not supposed to be trapped into that technicalities. The point is that here, my point is nowadays the people, they're just talking about the lung congestion is there. Why this mutant is, because you must be knowing about the corona is the airborne. Corona is airborne disease, right? So we are just trying to contaminate mainly through the air contamination, and the best way to trap the air contamination is what? It's a respiratory, because we used to inhale by compulsion anytime, and that's why the part which is vulnerable under the corona is what? It's the lungs. The main part which is vulnerable under this corona is the lungs, right? And if the lung is perfectly fine, it means the concentration is more than 95. And somewhere, if the lung is contaminating because of the pathogenic action, or even lung is being affected because of the other metabolic activities. It is not only the pathogen connection, it is not only the pathogen infection, right? It is not only pathogen infection. Pathogen infection is going to subside the concentration of oxygen in the lungs. But suppose if you are feeling low because of the other metabolic action, other metabolic abnormalities, in that case, you are going to, this oximeter is going to show the less oxygen saturation, but that less oxygen saturation because of the other metabolic disorder that could be cope up in a short while, but the lung infection through the pathogen is there. So for this we must have medication, and this medication is required to clear off the lung infection. The food and the oxygen separate. See, देखो ना यार, Jitin, look here. This is what we are inhaling. Yes, this is your here inhaling. So either we are inhaling through nose, or we are inhaling through mouth. We can inhale through nose, we can also inhale through mouth. Right? So the air is coming through nose or air is coming through mouth. Fine. And the food is also coming through mouth. Yes. So see here, in fact, we have two different lines, pipe here. The one is the food pipe and the second is the wind pipe here. So till this point there is a common passage. But listen, you see here. Now, when the food starts moving, now the wind pipe is blocked with this cap-like structure, that is epiglottis. Right? So this is compulsion. Because if the food is forwarding in this, the food keep forwarding in this wind pipe, so it is going to impact you in the negative sense. Fine, because there is no place in in the respiratory part for the food digestion, right? So that's why, just to ensure the proper supply of the food in the food area, here is a cap-like structure. That is what it's the epiglottis. That will ensure the movement of the food only in the food pipes, right? So the movement of the food in the food pipe is compulsion. But even oxygen is moving in this line or in that line, it is not going to make any sense. It is not going to trouble you. It is not going to trouble you because even oxygen is getting distributed in both the pipelines. It is not going to affect your food oxidation. It is not going to affect your other metabolic activities. Fine. So it is not like that the 100% of the oxygen that we are inhaling is moving through the windpipe. There must be the chance this food must go through the food pipe because of the common opening between the windpipe and the food pipe. Fine. So it does not impact you. It does not create any negative action for you. But even the compulsion is what? The compulsion is the food must keep forwarding in the food pipe, and just to ensure this forward movement of the food in the food pipe, here there's a natural capping, and this natural capping is the epiglottis. Right? Why hiccups occur? क्या पूछता है? Hiccups occur just because and the people start thinking about this. Someone is just trying to recall. The hiccup is just because of this. It's all rubbish. आप देखो ना, here the food is moving in the food pipe, and sometimes by any means, if the small piece of the food is start moving in the windpipe, so that is going to create a abnormality. That is going to create an abnormality for you, and you feel like abnormality during the food intake. You feel like the food is trying to create a backflow, and you, in that case, we just try to get it settled. That is the one aspect. And the second aspect is why the hiccups are coming. See here, look here. Here, see, this part is diaphragm, and diaphragm is what? It's a muscular. Right, it's a muscular. And this diaphragm, this shows rhythmic contraction and relaxation. Fine. This shows up and down movement in the normal process of the breathing. In the normal process of the breathing, your lungs are going to be expand. Fine. And the diaphragm is going to be constrict. And after discharging carbon dioxide, your lungs are going to be relaxed. So this diaphragm will be relaxed. So unless this movement is going on properly, means the diaphragm movement is going on properly, so we feel like normal breathing. And sometimes this diaphragm deviates from the normal activity, means the rhythmic contraction of the diaphragm means the upward and the downward, means contraction and the relaxation of this diaphragm is not up to the mark. Fine. In that case, this diaphragm is not able to contract or relaxed to that extent what is required as per the respiratory metabolic aspect. Fine. In that case, you feel like the hiccups. So when you feel like hiccups, without making any complication, whenever you feel like hiccups, you just feel like your diaphragm means the muscular activity in diaphragm is getting irregular. Muscle activity in diaphragm is getting irregular. This leads to hiccup. कोई याद नहीं करता hiccups में हम ये बोलते हैं कि someone is recalling. It is not like that. That make a sense like diaphragm activity is not up to the mark this time. That's why I am feeling hiccup. Why the people are using inhalers and what is its use? The purpose of the inhaler is what? Just to clear the passage. The purpose of the inhaler is just to clear the passages. Fine. And even these lines are choked. So just for the cleaning of, just for the cleaning of air vesicles, we are using inhalers. So inhaler we are using, and the purpose of the inhaler is what? Just to clean the inlet as well as air vesicles. And if the inlet is clear and the air vesicles are clear, it means you are going to inhale with the proper accommodation, and after the inhaler you feel like smooth breathing, you feel like more comfortable as compared to before. Means the dust particle or even the impurities are cleared off after the use of inhaler. Fine, okay. So here this is your lung. Fine. This is a heart. This part of the heart is, it's a left atrium. atrium, atrium, a ventricle, V. It's a left atrium, it's a left ventricle, it's a right atrium, it's a right ventricle. Means the human heart is 4 chambered. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is human body part. This, it's a body tissues. Right? So the lung is connected. The lung is connected to the left atrium. And this is PUL means pulmonary. It's a pulmonary veins. Then left ventricle is connected to the body part. This is through artery. Then body part is connected to the right atrium. This is through veins. And finally, this right ventricle is connected to the lungs, and this is through pulmonary is the interconnection between the different parts. Fine, okay. Can we go ahead? Right, fine. Then what is going on here? See, we are going to inhale oxygen. This oxygen mixed with the blood. Fine. This is oxygenated blood. This oxygenated blood from the lungs, it keeps moving through the pulmonary vein to the left atrium, to the left ventricle, to the arteries, to the body parts. Right? And in the body parts, this blood will detach oxygen, and this oxygen is required for the food oxidation, and as a result of this food oxidation, this oxygen which is used for the food oxidation, energy will release in the form of ATP as well as carbon dioxide will also release. Yes, and this carbon dioxide will attach with the blood. Now the blood is what? It's a deoxygenated blood, and this deoxygenated blood will start moving. This will start moving from the body part to the veins. Then it comes to right part, right auricle, right ventricle, and from the right ventricle to the pulmonary arteries, then lungs, and finally it will blow outside. Fine. So the amal, This haggard, which we blow haggard, that contains carbon dioxide. And the purpose of the blowing of the haggard is what? Just to clear off carbon dioxide. Just to clear off carbon dioxide, because in the artificial respiration we are providing liquid oxygen. Fine, liquid oxygen. So that liquid oxygen, that liquid is the source of oxygen. So we are just clearing carbon dioxide. And we are just clearing carbon dioxide just to ensure the maximum amount of oxygen is being sucked. Yes, and even apart from this, in fact, that liquid, apart from the oxygen that artificial oxygen has, this is what this also consists of the perfluorocarbon. Perfluorocarbon. So it's a perfluorocarbon. The liquid contains perfluorocarbon as well as the oxygen. And the ultimate purpose of the perfluorocarbon is what? When we are going to inhale oxygen. So this will increase solubility of the oxygen in the blood. So when we are going to consume, we are going to inhale more oxygen, so it will increase solubility of oxygen in the blood, and even at the same time we are going to release maximum carbon dioxide, so that we need to clear off. Otherwise what happened? That we need to clear off. Otherwise what happened? If the concentration of carbon dioxide is not going to clear off, so definitely it will affect the oxygen intake and the oxygen metabolic conditions, is the logic behind. Fine, so this is the way. Again, I am just reminding, oxygen we are going to inhale, then it comes to lungs, from the lungs it comes to the pulmonary vein, so left auricle to the left ventricle, from the left ventricle to the body parts, then this oxygen is used, the oxygen which is coming through the blood is used for the food oxidation and the energy generation, and in this process the releasing carbon dioxide will mix with the blood, and then from the body part it comes to the pulmonary artery to the right auricle to the right ventricle, and then from right ventricle to the pulmonary artery, and finally this will clear off. This will come to the lungs. From here it will clear off. Yes, so at a time your heart supports double circulation. Means the right and left part of the blood. The left part of the blood will always ensure deoxygenated blood, means blood with carbon dioxide, while the left part will always ensure oxygenated blood with oxygen. Blood with oxygen. So left part of the heart will always pump, will always ensure, will always maintain oxygenated blood flow, and the right part of the heart will maintain deoxygenated blood flow. Yes, and here we have used the term artery and veins. Yes, artery ensures circulation of pure blood, and the arteries are deeply seated. Arteries are seated deeply, means inside, deep location. Arteries are located deeply in, so we cannot find out artery. And every artery has its corresponding vein. So vein is superficial. So what we can see here, the purplish green nature of the vein. So behind every deeply to this vein, there must be corresponding artery. So vein is always superficial, and the vein pumps deoxygenated blood, means blood with carbon dioxide. So arteries are ensuring pumping of oxygenated blood, and veins are supporting pumping of the oxygenated blood. And here the only exception would be the pulmonary vein and pulmonary artery. The only exception is the pulmonary vein and pulmonary artery. This pulmonary vein oxygenated blood and this deoxygenated blood. Yes, and here in the blood, hemoglobin, this Hb means hemoglobin, which is the part of RBC. This will ensure pumping of oxygen, while blood plasma will ensure carbon dioxide pumping. So the carbon dioxide pumping is through plasma, while oxygen pumping is through the hemoglobin of the RBC. Fine, okay? Yes? So I am going to stop here. I am going to stop the session here. And tomorrow we have a class, same time, 4:30. Fine. So, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone. Allow me to leave. I told you, Nikhil, the difference between the atrium and the ventricle. Already we have discussed. These are veins, and the veins carry deoxygenated blood. And just below the veins, there is an artery, and the artery always pumps oxygenated blood. So the arteries are deeply seated and the veins are superficial. Simple. Fine? Okay? So, namaskar to everyone. Dhanyavad.